Salient features of Indian Constitution. Longest written constitution. Generally, constitution can be classified into two types, written and unwritten constitution. The first modern written constitution is the American Constitution. On the other hand, the British Constitution is unwritten. It consists of customs and conventions which have grown over the years. In India we have a written constitution. The Constitution of India is the longest one in the world. Originally it had 395 articles, 22 parts and 8 schedules. Today the Constitution has 470 articles, 25 parts and 12 schedules. The Constitution became lengthy mainly due to following factors: single constitution for both the centers and state. The Government of India Act, 1935 was in operation when India got independence. Our leaders were familiar with this act. They borrowed heavily from this lengthy act while framing our constitution. India is a country of great diversity. It is a country of several minorities. It has many languages, castes, races and religions. The problems and interest of these different groups have found place in the constitution: partially rigid, partially flexible. Whether a constitution is a rigid or flexible depends upon the nature of amendment. If the constitutional laws and ordinary laws are amended in rigorous procedures ways, it is a rigid constitution. On the contrary, in a flexible constitution, constitutional laws and ordinary laws are amended in simple ways. Some provisions of the Constitution of India can be amended by the Indian Parliament with simple majority. The amendment of most other provisions of the Constitution requires special majority in both houses of the Parliament. There are some other provisions of Constitution which cannot be amended by the Parliament alone. In cases of such provision, the amending bill has first to be approved by the both houses of the Parliament by a special majority with the support of 2/3 of the members of each house present and voting. Then it has to be ratified by the legislatures of at least half of the states of India. These different amendment procedures make our constitution partially rigid and partially flexible. Parliamentary form of government. The Constitution of India has opted for parliamentary form of government. In this system, the majority party in the lower house, that is Lok Sabha, forms government. The Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. The cabinet is the real executive head. In presidential form of government, the president is the executive head. In India, the president is only the nominal constitutional head. In Britain, the monarchy is hereditary. But India, the post of president is elective. Our constitutional founding fathers adopted the parliamentary model for two reasons. Firstly, they believed that a parliamentary form of government would be more responsible, democratic than the presidential form of government. Secondly, they were, to some extent, familiar with the parliamentary form of government during the British rule, particularly after the implementation of Government of India Act, 1935. Federal government with unitary bias. India is a federation, although word federation does not find a place in the whole text of the Indian Constitution. The elements of federation are present in the Indian Constitution. It is a written and a rigid constitution. There is a dual polity and there is a constitutional division of powers between the center and the state. There is also an independent judiciary. The Supreme Court arbitrates the disputes between the center and the states. All the provisions make India of federation. But in Indian federation, the center is strong as compared to the states. The center has more financial powers and the states largely depend upon it for their economical development. Governor acts as the agent of the center. The center can reorganize a state, but a state cannot reorganize the center. In other words, the center is indestructible while the states are destructible. During emergencies, the power of center considerably grow and the states become weak. India is an indestructible union of destructible states.